Time for the game that we let Tony pretend to win. Toss up. Let's get the first one from the producer over the loudspeaker.
Toss up. Who you got in tonight's game 2? The Hawks or the Bucks?
This is hard for me, Frank. I picked the Bucks to win this series at the beginning. But, you know, they're just so tough to figure out, and I don't like the way they play. And they just sort of stupidly throw up threes, even though they do something superior, different than shoot threes. And they just pay no attention. Now, let's go back to doing that, even though that's not what we do. So, you know what? I guess I'm going to say Milwaukee will win tonight because they have to. But Atlanta can win this series. And I think so you believe that too, right? Atlanta's underrated, undervalued. They entertain. They are fabulous to watch. Trae Young, I have done a 180, the biggest 180 of my life in covering basketball on Trae Young. But I'm going to take Milwaukee to win tonight's game, though not the series.
Yeah. I think Atlanta has more talent. I mean, they bring Lou Williams and Danilo Gallinari off the bench. The Bucks don't have those kind of players. Now, Chris Middleton was 6 for 23, 0 for 9 in game 1. And I think if you look at Milwaukee over the past couple of years, Michael, they always play poorly in game 1. They even did it against Miami this year. They were kind of lucky to win that. They ended up sweeping that series. So they have a history of not performing well in a series opener. That's not an excuse, but I do think they'll play better, and they got to grab rebounds. Those final 4 minutes of the game, they gave up too many offensive rebounds. It was incredible.
Yes.
That was the killer.
Got to win tonight. They have to win this game tonight, or it's going to be bye-bye. And that Deer Valley can just go away until the cheesehead season. What's next?
Toss-up. Game 7 is tonight. Who would you rather see face the Canadians for the Stanley Cup? The Islanders or the Lightning?
You know, I'm an original 6 guy. If I can't get original 6, give me that early wave of expansion that included the Islanders, Frank. And, I mean, you think of those teams with Bossy and Trottier and Gillies and Potvin and Billy Smith swinging his stick and hitting people in the crease. I mean, there's real NHL championship history there with those Islander teams that won, 4 in a row? I'm sorry, I don't care about hockey in Florida. As far as I'm concerned, there shouldn't even be hockey in Florida. So I am rooting hard for the Islanders.
Tampa Bay is the better team. We don't know if Kucherov is going to play after he took that cross check in the back.
Big loss if he can't play.
The last time Barry Trotz coached a team in a Game 7 in Tampa was the Capitals in 2018. He ended up winning that game, went on to win the Stanley Cup. For the Islanders to win and play the Canadians, when they went on that great run that you talked about, the 4 Stanley Cup championships, before that, they never could beat the Canadians. That was the one team they never could beat. And, of course, this is their last season at the Nassau Coliseum. What a way to cap it off, to get the Canadians in their building and to beat them, to lift the cup one final time before they move over to Belmont Racetrack. And good luck getting to those games, because across Island Parkway, any day of the week is terrible. But what are you going to do?
It's a great story. The Canadians not having done this since, 92 or 93? It's been so for long for two franchises with such great history. Montreal more of it than the Islanders, but that's the matchup. That's it. Let's take one last break. We're coming up. How do we explain the tear that Kyle Schwarber is on right now?
Pretty good. And are the Mavs making the right head coaching hire in Jason Kidd? Jason's back. I think that was a movie.
Happy time, people. Happy 55th birthday to Dikembe Mutombo. Hall of Famer, 8-time NBA All-Star, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. Dikembe was born in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and enrolled at Georgetown at the age of 21 with intentions of becoming a doctor. John Thompson recruited him to play basketball, and 3 years later, the Denver Nuggets took him with the 4th pick overall in the draft. He was at the center of an indelible scene when the 8th-seeded Nuggets upset the top-seeded Sonics in the first round of the 94 playoffs. But visually, he's most famous, as we all know, for his finger-wagging, first at foes, later toward the crowds, and ultimately in commercials.
The global ambassador to the NBA. When I saw him at Patrick Ewing's first game at Georgetown, he came up to me and he said, "I knew you'd be here to see your boy." Michael, can you believe it's been 20 years since he was taking all those elbows to the face from Shaquille O'Neal in the NBA Finals?
No.
He stood his ground. He was a tough guy. I love
and
Dikembe.
A great guy, and helped build a hospital in his homeland. One of my favorite people ever in all of sports. Happy anniversary to another Hall of Famer, Tim Duncan. On this day 24 years ago, the Spurs selected you with the first pick of the NBA draft. What a pick that turned out to be. The Spurs had been 20-62 the year before But with Duncan and a recuperated David Robinson leading the way after back surgery, San Antonio immediately went 56-26. 1 year later, also on this day, Duncan led the team to his first of 5 NBA titles, including beating the Knicks, Frank. Over his 19 seasons, Duncan was a 3-time NBA Finals MVP, 2-time League MVP, and 15-time All-Star. He recently spent a season as an assistant for the Spurs, even serving as acting head coach in one game, but resigned after last season.
You and I were at that game when he won his first title. Avery Johnson,
Yes.
remember, hit a big shot in that game.
Out of
you know,
corner.
when Tim Duncan grew up in St. Croix, because it was so windy on the outdoor court, that's why he learned to bank it in. It was easier than trying to shoot. That's why he learned that bank shot.
Best thing of all about Duncan, he is a devoted Bears fan. That true story.
Really?
True story, Frank.
So he's
He is.
miserable like you.
Well, just a little bit of the time whenever we talk about quarterback. Happy trails to the head coach opening for the Dallas Mavericks. The team has reportedly hired Jason Kidd to replace Rick Carlisle, who resigned and now coaches the Pacers. Kidd had 2 stints in Dallas as a player, including as a member of the 2011 championship team. And this will be his 3rd head coaching gig, previously leading the Nets and Bucks to a record of 183 and 190. He joins a franchise that's gone through a recent power struggle, needs to shore up its relationship with star Luka Doncic, and it's just years removed from a front office mess involving sexual harassment, domestic assault, and misconduct. And it's noted because Kidd pleaded guilty in 2001 himself to spousal abuse.
Yeah, 2 quick things. The Portland job, which Jason Kidd initially was up for, it looks like it's going to be either Chauncey Billups or Mike D'Antoni. Now, he didn't get that Portland job. I think Dallas is a good place for him. But like you mentioned, Jason Kidd's history, Cynthia Marshall, the CEO, there's no way that this hire is happening if
Without
she doesn't
going past
sign
her.
off on it. And as you
That's
know,
right.
with Dirk there, Michael Finley, it's like they're bringing the old gang back.
Bringing the old gang back and being very careful about these new choices. You mentioned CEO Cynthia Marshall. Jason Kidd, Luka Doncic, that has magic in it from a basketball perspective. We're running out of show. Let's get to the big finish. Defending champ Simona Halep withdrew from Wimbledon with a calf injury. Your thoughts?
This is a great chance for Serena. No Osaka, no Halep. Maybe she could win this one. Round 2 of the Women's PGA Championship today. What did you notice?
This makes a difference to me and a lot of people. Michelle Wee West made the cut in a major, her first since 2018. Welcome back, Michelle. Look, the tour, that tour is so much better off with Michelle playing. The Astros have won 11 straight. You impressed?
I am. They've won 20 of 24. They're up 2 games on the A's in the AL West. And what does it also say? Everyone wants to kill the Astros, rightfully so, about cheating, but they have some really good players, field players, pitchers. It's a pretty good team. Kyle Schwarber of the Nationals has 8 home runs over his last 5 games. Is that a big deal?
Huge. I called Tony last night. He's weeping at the leadoff home runs and the change in the lineup, blah, 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 blah. They took my cup, my neighbor, away in Chicago. I love Schwarber. Last one, the Diamondbacks and Orioles both try to end their road losing streaks tonight. 23 for the D-backs, 20 for the Orioles. Either going to do this, Frank.
And the last time both of them won, it was on a no-hitter. It's hard to believe. I think the Orioles will get it done in Buffalo. That's where
In
tomorrow
Buffalo.
plays. We're out of time. Thanks for watching. I'm Frank Isola.
I'm Mike Wilbon. We are off until Tuesday, July 6th, you knuckleheads.
More
But
time
you can get the PTI podcast on the app or Apple Podcasts. And now, here's SportsCenter.
Schwarber moved because you never were home, just like you're never here. That's why he left.
He left the building. He left the